Hi there, I'm Pearl and this is Migraine Magic. And welcome to my house, welcome to my kitchen. And magic is my word of the moment, and it's really weird how it's come up and it keeps coming up in the last sort of week or so. And maybe that's to do with the fact it's October and Halloween is around the corner. Maybe not. But I wanted to call it magic. I wanted to reclaim the word magic, because this is all about all the different things that I use and have used to help me with migraines. And I know it's going to be really useful to a lot of you, even those of you who probably have migraines a lot worse than me and have tried a lot of things. There's a lot of simple things that I'm using. And I don't know about you, I don't like being dependent on drugs. I don't like even being dependent on vitamin supplements, but I do use them at times. But most importantly, I think there's so much stuff in the natural world, in our diet and things like that, that we can use or avoid that can help us through, if we're what some people call it migraineur. I'm a migraineur. I still haven't kind of got used to that word. So if you suffer from migraines, and I've suffered from them for like more than 30 years. I don't even believe I'm actually 30, so it's kind of weird to say that. But another sort of serious part of this, and probably a couple of other videos I'm going to do this month, maybe more, about magic, is a lot of this stuff we've lost, and we lost it because, especially in England, Scotland, and other parts of Europe, and probably in the States as well, a lot of people were killed because they tried to help people with healing. They were burned at the stake or drowned as witches. And just because you have a broomstick does not make you a witch, okay? What we're actually talking about is healers, wise women, wise men who understood all this stuff. And so once upon a time, if we had a problem, we could have gone to the wise woman of the tribe and say, or the village, and say, hey, I've got this terrible thing, what can I use? And a lot of this stuff, really it's natural stuff that we had around for a really, really long time. So we've lost that, we've lost a lot of that. And a lot of what I've been doing is trying to sort of find that and kind of rescue that from other parts of the world where, people were better at hiding than we were. And so really that's kind of a lot about what I've done. And it's kind of crazy, isn't it? Because I think that's why a lot of us are a bit hesitant about helping people and shining our light and talking about what we know and what we do, because it's magic. And because people get killed for talking about magic. People get killed for talking about, having their hair free. So, we have to be a little bit careful, but also, I can do this video on YouTube and I'm safe to do that. So I hope it kind of inspires you to share your light as well and share what you know about healing. Okay, let's get into it. So where do I start? I started bringing everything out of the cupboards and I was like, seriously, is everything in my house about migraine? So where do I start? Now, I'm going to start with this. Now, I've had migraines for like 30 years or so, and I did the medication thing. I took Migraleave a lot, the pink one, and I would recommend that because I didn't know any better. It's very good because it's got an anti-emetic in it. But I stopped taking it because I started learning about migraine rebound, so it bounces back on you. A lot of things that we take, especially painkillers, can make things worse. And that's not just for migraine, that's also for things like back pain. Because, and I say it, your body is junky, okay? Your body likes drugs. So when you have an illness or something and you take something like, which I'll talk about now, Paracetamol, which is available over the counter, and you're not supposed to take for any more than 3 days. It's very effective, knocks out a lot of the pain, but it will probably make your migraines worse. It means they'll come back worse, you'll have them more frequently. And weirdly enough, that is the case. According to a doctor, I went to a seminar at the Migraine Trust. That's the same with pretty much all pharmaceutical intervention. Most of the treatments you'll get once you get to like the consultant level with the doctor, once you stop them, they'll make it worse. So it's kind of like you're actually making your condition worse by treating it. And that's one of the things I love about most of this stuff that I'm going to talk about, is that it will not exacerbate, it will not make your migraines worse in order to make them better, okay? Because a lot of time what we're doing is we're looking for short-term respite but we make long-term problems for ourselves. Perhaps I feel I should give a kind of maybe a little lecture to Liz Truss about short-term, long-term problems and how we resolve them. Ideally what we want is a short-term solution that also improves things in the long run, okay? And there are definitely ways that we can do that. I'll start with this, okay? This is a journal. And I tried to do this this year. My migraine started getting a lot worse because of going through perimenopause. And I'm going to talk at the end more about menstrual and menopause migraines, because if you're bloke, I know you don't really like to hear about it. So we will approach that at the end. So we'll keep that separate. But it's the reason why I've done more research than ever before about migraines. And I'm very lucky because the research has got a lot better than it did when I was researching this when I was younger and I was looking for solutions. There were none, because they didn't really know what migraines were. And now we've come a long, long way. Okay, so this, because I have my phone. Where's my phone? I'm actually looking at it. I'm recording on it. Sorry about that. So I started trying to keep a diary of symptoms and things like that on my phone. And what I found is I would do that when it was bad, and then I forget when it got worse. So I wasn't doing a very good job. And then things got worse. And then about sort of summer this year, I started putting things together, like when I've been taking medication and then how bad the migraines had got in response. So really, you know, I took some migraine relief and then things got worse. And I'd managed to not take any for about 6 months. So, you know, this was really also for me to write down, you can see, write down what medications I was taking, and to be able to see if there was some kind of rebound or some kind of reaction. And after I did the migraine seminar, and I did another one online, I actually put these into a chart. I like to do a little medical chart, and I plotted it all out. And what I would do is, and it's very simple, what you do is you just write, any day you write pain, and you can do it on a scale of 1 to 10 or 0 to 10. And also what I do is nausea as well, because nausea has been such a big problem for me, and we're going to look at that as well. And you know, and also just anything else, any other factors, if there was something very stressful that went on, obviously periods, things like that, period pain, anything else. And like that, well done me. I did well that day, that was good. But I would highly recommend it. And I picked this up for £1 on Amazon because it was halfway through the year. And it's really, really useful because you can start to see what's going on and what kind of creates your migraines. And I'm also a bit of a Friday sufferer. You know, I don't know if you know that. It's like, so a lot of people, they either suffer more on, like, say, a Monday when they're going back to work. And a lot of people suffer more, say, on a Friday, Saturday, end of the week. And it's really, some people get worse when the stress level's going up, and some people get worse when the stress level's coming down. And that's really good to be aware of, because then you can kind of really sort of like take care of yourself better at those times. I'm also, yeah, like say for example, with menstrual migraine, some people suffer when they start their periods, and some people suffer when they ovulate. Okay, and we'll go back to that. But if you write it down, you can help yourself to see what's working and what's not. The great thing about me doing this is I can tell you which of these things made a huge difference and which kind of help a little bit. Okay, so let me show you something at least, because you've been very quiet and good, and you've watched it so far. So let me give you a little treat with some nice things. One of the nicest things we can do for ourselves, okay, and this is great, is to do something that feels really, really good. So I want to jump ahead to this. This is something I started doing beginning of last January, and this was to come back to Aromatherapy Associates. I did another video about Aromatherapy Associates a while back, so you can go and watch that if you want to know more. So this is a de-stress mind. They've got two, de-stress mind, de-stress body. Shower oil, oil to milk. And I started using this. I actually started using the stronger one in the shower. And I found that really, really helped. Like if I got up in the morning and I felt a bit like headachy, a bit migraine-y, and I took a nice long shower with my lovely shower oil, it would really help the symptoms to go down. So that's a combination of shower, and I think, see, spas are good. And SPA means, I can't say it, I think it's Sanus per Aqua, which means health through water. And water's really helpful, really good for migraine. It's very hard, I find it very hard to have a migraine or to, you know, have any pain if I'm underwater in a swimming pool. I like to sort of drift down to the bottom. Some people swear by open water swimming, okay? And I'm sure you can probably Google that and find a group or something. I hate open water swimming. I'm not going to do it. I like an open water paddle and a hot water shower, you know, but that shower is great. One of the things I will say is sometimes I need all this stuff to help me even go and have a shower. You know, the migraines can get so bad that I can't even get up and get in the shower. So this is great, but it's kind of sometimes you need even help to get to this. Now, when I started doing this, I found it really, really helpful because aromatherapy is magic. It's great. Let me put that over there. And this is one I've used for ages and ages. And now this is a de-stress muscle gel. Now, I was using this for a long time and I didn't realize why it was so useful. And I will tell you, one of the reasons it's so useful is it has rosemary, black pepper, lavender, and ginger. And I realized after a while, and I'll come back to this actually when we talk about ibuprofen, ginger is nature's ibuprofen. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. And sometimes it's inflammation that causes migraine. So the ginger in this is also natural medicine. I'll put that over there. I think though some of it is not the ginger because I don't know if the De-Stress Mind one has ginger in it. But this is a big fancy candle I got. And this stuff is really expensive. It's one of the top brands. It is the top brand. It's just been voted top aromatherapy brand in the World Spa Awards. And I swear by it. But I do really well with their reward program. I do really well with their special offers and their sales. So I get this stuff. Don't listen to this if I have given you this as a birthday present. I didn't say this. But this is a really big fancy candle. This is normally like £40–50, right? I haven't lit it yet. I'm scared. It's like I was saving it. But I got this for free. Because it was a free gift when I bought some other stuff. So yeah, I tend to do a bit of a Christmas birthday shopping bonanza, and I really do get good stuff. But I did another video on that, so you don't need that. But that's the De-Stress candle. Candles are good and bad, okay? Because candles, they really help us to relax, and that's really important to help avoid migraine. And sometimes you can light a candle when you can't do anything else. You know, you can't even put on body oil or something like that. But also, if you're feeling very unwell and you're trying to sort of go to sleep or taking lots of medicines, you don't want to leave a candle burning, okay? So what you can do is you can just have the candle and smell it, or in your bedroom, but also what you can do is light it, let it burn for like a few minutes, and then blow the candle out. Never leave a candle burning when you lie down when you've got a migraine, because as you know, if you suffer from them, you could just pass out from pain, because that's, to be honest, we like to pass out from the pain, don't we? Because it's like, yes, I passed out and I'm not awake with this horrible migraine. Anyway, more things. So this is, again, I'll just finish this range. Very useful. This is so that's the De-Stress body oil again, and that's got ginger in it. So you can use that, and again, it's ginger on the skin. Oh, this is the Forest Therapy Rollerball. Now this is quite good. I have this by the bed and I just roll this on, and especially if I can't sleep. So this is all great stuff. The ginger's really good. One of the reasons I love this stuff, okay, and it's so good, is because you can use it on your body. You're not actually eating it or drinking it or trying to take it as a tablet form. And that's so good because, as a lot of people know, when you get a migraine, you can get very, very nauseous. You can be throwing up, and it can be really hard to keep down even, you know, anything. Okay, we'll talk about that more in a sec. So this is really good because it's something you can put on your skin. It's helpful and it's relaxing. That ginger could help with inflammation. So this is all really good stuff that you can take in through your skin, through your nose. In fact, some migraine medications are actually available once you get up to your consultant level and you get prescriptions for these really heavy duty drugs. They're actually available as a nasal spray because they know that when it's bad, you can't take a tablet, you can't keep anything down. Fun, 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 fun. I wanted to also explain with aromatherapy, what I love about this, and it's really handy, is for a lot of us with a migraine, it's not just the pain. So the things that happen in migraine, and I do recommend you go and look at the Migraine Trust information if you suffer, because sometimes we don't really understand what's going on. There are a lot of people who suffer from migraine who think they suffer from something else. So it could be dizziness, it could be nausea. In fact, it took me a long time to realise this year when I was having these really bad bouts of nausea that I wasn't just having like a stomach bug. I was like, wow, this every month I'm having a stomach bug. And then I was like, this is a migraine, isn't it? This is a menstrual migraine. Or this is, something's going on for me. And it wasn't even that. I'll explain later. But it was a migraine. And so sometimes we're having these feelings, and also not just feelings, because it affects things that we can't, physical things. So sometimes I have to get up and wee in the night like 6 or 7 times. And you know what that is? That's a migraine, because it actually, it affects the part of our body that makes us go to the toilet all the time. So you think, okay, it's not a bladder thing, it's a migraine. It's okay. And obviously the nausea, also flushing. Sometimes we get really flushed. Also, I don't know about you, when I have a migraine, my temperature goes rockets down, rockets up, rockets down, like having flu. It's just not pleasant at all. In fact, I said this is a really useful thing to have, is a fever scan. It's just a little thing you put on your head. And one of the reasons this is so useful is because with migraine, stress makes it worse, okay? And over the last couple of years, a lot of times when I've been feeling sick and ill and everything like that, I've worried I had COVID, And in fact, this morning I woke up and I was feeling a bit, and I got a little migraine thing going here. I was like, but I'm doing so well. How come I've got migraine, and I will tell you, my migraines have gone to like almost nothing at the moment. And I'll show you how. I'm excited. Anyway, and I woke up this morning, I was like, and I did just read like loads of chapters of a book this morning, first things, which I haven't been able to do for a really long time because my migraines have been so bad. So I'm kind of causing myself problems at the moment because the migraines are better. So as soon as they're better, I'm like, let me read, let me go exercise, let me eat the foods I haven't been able to eat, So I've kind of, create some more problems for myself. But what I also remembered when I was thinking, I feel a bit worse today than I have done, I had my flu jab a couple of days ago. So whatever's going on with my body with the flu jab can also, trigger migraine, because I probably should be drinking more fluids and, looking after myself. But the fever scan is good because if you're having a migraine or if you're feeling sort of hot and cold, you can check whether you've actually got a fever, temperature, or whether it's just, that body doing that weird thing that it does when it likes to just turn the thermostat up and down, turn the thermostat up and down. And it's annoying. So at the moment, I just like having the house really cool, especially after the summer. And I know that a lot of people suffered really badly in the summer because of the heat and dehydration. And also, come back to those periods, periods are usually heavier in the summer. When it's hot, we have heavier periods. So obviously anything that comes from that makes it much worse. So that's a fever scan. Another thing that happens for me and for other people, and some of these things are to do with that, is our senses get overwhelmed. So for example, the sensitivity to sunlight. Okay, it's very, very common, sensitivity to sunlight. That's very useful. Eye mask, very useful. But also to sounds, headphones or earplugs. And also the iPod, very, very useful to put on a nice relaxing song. I have a lot of relaxing songs on here, and what's great is I have a lot of ones that help cover different types of noise. So if there's like some banging going on there outside, Weightless by Marconi Union is very good. If there's a lot of chat, you know, a lot of people talking, somebody's having a party, beach noises, the sound of the sea is very good. And if I'm just kind of stuff in my own head, if I'm stressing out, there's a Hawaiian Lullaby by Iz is really good on there. But anything really to kind of help you sort of like follow a sound, like following your breath, you know, just with meditation, it helps us to stay calm. But of course, this means that the migraine look for me is usually my migraine look. You'll like it. It's fancy. It's this one. This one. You know, it's like sensory deprivation. But even when you're doing that, I don't know about you, my sense of smell goes through the roof. So I'm like this. I can smell bumper. I can smell gas. I can smell this. So you're like going around, like got to come down, got to check that the gas is switched off. You know, and the other day it was like I was there smelling gas, and I realised it was the water smell of gas. What? So I looked it up, and it's like sulfur in the water. So you have sulfur, and I'm like, so I find this stuff is really good because when I'm freaking out about, I can smell this, I can smell that, I can smell, you know, some smell is driving me out the wall. Aromatherapy is fantastic for making me go, I can smell trees and flowers, and it's wonderful. That's great. I often think that maybe I should like go and sniff out truffles or something. I could be very effective at sniffing out truffles, but I can't eat truffles. There's another thing. Okay, there's that. And we put all that down. We've done a lot of that. That's good. That's also a nice smelling thing that sometimes I use. And I saw this, I think, in Grey's Anatomy, and it's like a rose oil. You can actually put that like there so that if there's a bad smell that you're experiencing, you know, you can really sort it out. That's another one. I don't use it that much, but as you can see, I have a lot of tools, a lot of medicine in the bag. There's a lot of things. Okay, so let's get into the actual drugs here. Okay, so now one of the things that doctors always seem to recommend, and then I did a bit of research, I thought, do you know what, I don't think this works. It's paracetamol. It's very good for certain types of pain, but if you keep taking paracetamol, what I would recommend is to use your journal and make notes on it, because I did some research and apparently it's not very good for headaches or migraine. So you might just be popping some unnecessary pills. So do double check on that. It's good though because it's not, paracetamol isn't really habit forming, but it's not a good thing to be taking like all the time. You know, it's good to have in the cupboard if you actually have flu or COVID, you know, but really paracetamol is not as effective as we think it is. It's something that doctors just say, take paracetamol, because they've always said it. So we talked about cocodamol. These are nice and floaty, make you go a bit floaty, but they very commonly will give you a rebound. So I think one of the worst things is, if you suffer from migraine, very often the most immediate thing you'll do is you'll go to your GP, and the GP will unfortunately give you all the wrong advice. And last year I went and bought some migraine relief because my nausea was so bad, and I rang the doctor, and when I did speak to the GP, she said, oh yes, take the migraine relief, yes, take the migraine relief. And it's really hard because I was suffering so badly, and I was like, I can't go on like this. So in a way it did help, but the problem is it doesn't solve the problem. And what we're really looking for, so there's two kinds of ways of treating migraine, and one is preventative to stop you having them at all, and the other one is acute. So like when it's actually coming and it's hitting you, then you can treat it. And you know, sometimes I guess the pain is just so bad that we just have to do an acute thing. But I wish I'd known about the other stuff. I wish I'd known about these other stuff last year, because I probably would have got into a better groove with things. It's taken me a long time. It's really taken me until very recently to try and get a handle on all this. But the cocodamol is there, and it's good to know about, because what I find is, since I realised, you know, yeah, I really shouldn't be taking these, I haven't, but I do have them in my makeup bag, wash bag. Don't have any makeup. And sometimes it just helps to think, you know, like you have your break glass in case of emergency, and it's like, do you know what, I know it's there, and this is a choice. So when I'm lying in bed and it's really awful, it's like, I have a choice, and I feel empowered to have it, but not take it, because it's my choice, and I'm doing it for the long run. You know, I'm vested in my long-term health rather than in short-term pain relief. And it's horrible to have to make that kind of decision, but I feel very proud of myself that I can resist taking it when it's that bad. So, and I also think, like, I do that and I go, well, you know what, if I can not take that when I feel like this, I can do anything. So that's the empowering side of migraines. Now, this is another drug, and this is one I get on prescription, and it's been very, very useful, and I wish I'd known about this like a year ago, you know, and I didn't know about this. Okay, and it's called prochlorperazine or something like that. I don't sound like Grey's Anatomy, do I? When they go, it's like, prochlorperazine, yes. And what this is an antiemetic, so that stops you being sick. And you can't take a lot of them, you can take a few of them, and you can only take them for, like, you know, you need to take them for a few days. You know, every time I try and get a prescription for these, the GP or the pharmacist will go, and how many are you taking? How many are you taking? And what you do with these? You take them out and you stick them up in your gum. So you're not actually trying to take them down, especially if you're feeling sick and you're really nauseous and you can't stop throwing up. So you put them up in the gum and they absorb that way into your bloodstream. And these have been very useful to me because I've been so ill. And they do help, but they help me to, like, keep down water, you know. Can't go and eat a steak dinner, even if I was a vegan, you know. Can't. When I say they're an antiemetic, they really stave off the very, very worst of the nausea. But sometimes, you know, I still can't do anything apart from kind of lie on the sofa or lie in bed with a bucket and hope that, you know. So it's there's still a lot of suffering going on with these. I mean, they're not like a magic pill or anything. They do help, and I'm really grateful to have had these, because it was so bad that any little help was good. And I think when you look at all this stuff, you think, oh, no. But the thing is, each of these things may help by 1% or 5% or 10. And when it's really bad, that 10% relief is everything. Here's the thing for me, and I love it when I did my chart and I did the little line across it, because what I find is, if I have a pain up to about a 5, I can manage that. You know, I can still go for a walk, I can still eat some food. If my nausea is up, you know, down in the 3s, you know, mine tends to go to about a 3 and then a 10, you know, so I don't really have a lot in between. But if it's a bit nauseous, I can eat something or drink something that helps with the nausea. If I've got a bit of pain, I can go out and I can do something that helps with the pain. When it comes to high level, there's very little that I can do. You know, it's just really like, hang on and wait for it to go, you know, just hang on to the rails. I've been on a roller coaster. Wait for it to go. It will go. That's the best thing about migraines, is that they really, well, they say they don't last more than 72 hours, but, you know, those of us who've suffered, very long then you get the middle, then you get the end. Sometimes you think, yeah, and then you get hit with another one. So we say that, but we know that the pain will subside eventually. Unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't subside for long enough. But anyway, those are quite useful. You can actually buy these in pharmacies in the UK. What I would say though is be very, very careful with them, because I only use these when I'm really, really sure it's migraine sickness. Because if I was having a stomach bug, if I was actually having a real stomach bug, what I want to do is actually get out anything that's making me sick. Because sometimes if we don't, then we make ourselves much sicker. And the worst stomach bug I ever had, I actually had hypothermia at the same time. So I couldn't be, like, my body wouldn't, like, I wasn't sick for like a day or two. And then when I did get sick, it was, because really that's your body's natural defense system. So throwing up is not the worst thing if it's part of your body's natural defense system. And this is really only to be used for like migraine or times when, you can't, when you're throwing up because of some other reason. I don't like talking about it, but let's move on. Oh dear. So this is also very important, is tea and hydration. And this is green tea. Actually, let me just finish up on the also rehydration treatments and water. Do you know, I'm just in that moment when I kind of go, where do I start? Where do I start? There's so many things. Let me just start again. So the thing about migraine and migraine, actually you can say either, it doesn't matter. Different things work for different people, and you have to start where it feels right for you. And I kind of want to say that the best thing I found, one of the best, I think it's the best thing I found, is the B2. And after years and years and years of it being bad, and months and months of it being almost unlivable, this has just been a godsend. This has just been amazing. And it's vitamin B2 riboflavin. These are 100 milligram tablets, okay, from Holland & Barrett. And I decided to start taking these because I found it on the Migraine Trust website. And these are one of 3 alternative therapies that have been trialed, tested, proven to work for a large number of migraine sufferers. And I think they recommend this. This could probably make your migraines, it could work. I can't remember if it works for about 50% of people or have about a 50% improvement. But with those odds, definitely worth a try. The reason, there's 3. So there's 3, and they are B2 at 400 milligrams, magnesium, 400 milligrams. I think that can actually be increased up to 600 if it's not working. And the other one is coenzyme Q10, okay? And you have to check the Migraine Trust website for the actual dosage of that, because I haven't tried that and I'm not using it. Why did I try this one first? This one has, I think, the best rate of success alongside magnesium. Coenzyme Q10 has less research, okay? And I did actually meet a migraine sufferer who was using it, and I said to her, how's it working? She said, I don't really know. She said, I'm on it, I'm too scared to come off of it. So she wasn't really sure like how much of a difference it was making. And again, that's one reason I would say definitely use a journal, because if you start taking something like this, you want to see if it's really making a difference. What they usually recommend for any kind of treatment that you do with migraine is that you take it for at least 3 months to see if it will actually work, because it can take that long to work. Migraine is such a funny disorder. Sometimes it takes a really long time to see if it's having an impact. With this one, they reckon it doesn't really kick in for about 3 weeks. So you're taking 400 milligrams of B2, and you won't really know if that's effective for about 3 weeks. I think it made a difference to me quite quickly, but I did think there was also a massive improvement at about 3 weeks as well. Okay, it makes your pee bright yellow, which was something I was already experiencing with the menopause, which I've been taking as well. Now, if you're going to take anything like this, you also need to check anything else that you're taking to make sure you're not doubling up. Having said that, you are not going to find a daily vitamin supplement that has 400 milligrams of B2 because it's the recommended dosage for not magnesium, for B2. Right, so B2, let's get this correct, is it is about 1.5 milligrams. Okay, so the daily recommended dose for normal people is 1.5 milligrams. For migraine sufferers, it's 400 milligrams. Okay, it's like, wow. Okay, it's got no known side effects apart from the pee. Okay, and I'm very glad because I've only got one kidney, so I spoke to the renal consultant this week, and I asked her. I said, "Am I right to take this?" And I'm thinking, "Oh, I've been taking it for like, 6 weeks. I hope she doesn't say no." And she just kind of laughed at me. She went, "Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. You do have to be careful with some B vitamins if you've got kidney problems. Okay, but talk to your doctor about that because it's complicated." And you know what? They do this research and it says different things. You're like, "I don't know. I'm not a doctor." Okay, but the B2 is, and it's quite cheap. With the Holland and Barrett buy one get one half price, this works out to like less than £5 a month to take. And I tend to split it. I take sort of 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening. I have not been prescribed this, okay? I've not seen a neurologist. I've not seen a migraine doctor. I've literally gone on the research on the website, and also I went to Holland and Barrett and read the reviews. And all these people are going, "Oh, it's amazing. My migraine's have gone." I went, "Yeah, I'll give it a go. I'll try that. And it's been amazing. And I'm so grateful. It's really, really good, okay? So I think the thing is, some of the people I met have got terrible migraines, and I said, "Have you tried the B2?" Because I'd been on it about a week when I met them at this symposium. I go like, "Have you tried it?" And they're like, "No." And I'm thinking, but it's the cheapest, less side effects, and yeah, like, why wouldn't you try it? I didn't say that to them because I'm like, I haven't even done it a week. I don't know, but I tell you what, I would recommend anybody whose migraine's a problem for, you've got to take it every day because it has to accumulate in your body. But what I love about this is it does something to, it works at a level with your energy processes, your mitochondria, real deep level, and it's a preventative treatment, okay? And for me, I think that's obviously dealing with some imbalance in the body and why we have this problem in the first place. So I'm so grateful for that. It rocks me out. Okay, but it's not like I don't have any migraine symptoms. It's not like I don't have any pain or anything like that. And so what I'm doing is really using all the stuff that I was doing when they were terrible, and I would try every different thing, but have learned to also change my lifestyle to moderate it and that kind of thing. I hope that makes sense. Okay, magnesium. Magnesium is also really great. The problem is if you take a magnesium supplement, it can give you a lot of stomach problems, okay? But magnesium is a really easy thing to get through your nutrition, your diet. Also, I have a great body butter, a magnesium body butter. Magnesium body butters are very popular. You can get them pretty much anywhere. And the great thing about that is when you're feeling ill, nauseous, whatever, you can put the magnesium on your skin, and it's supposed to really help you sleep as well. And you can put it on at night, so your body's absorbing it through the night. Other sources of magnesium, there's so many, banana, that's got about 30 milligrams, okay? So you're looking for about 400. An average vitamin supplement, that's got 100 milligrams of magnesium in there. And just to put this into perspective, with magnesium, I think you're really talking about your NRV, nutrient reference value. I think that's the daily thing. Anyway, it might not be, but it's about 400, So you're taking a normal person's amount of magnesium. Bananas. Also very high in potassium, which seems to help. Bread, an average slice of bread has about 40 to 50 milligrams of magnesium. So I get these big slices of bread, so you're talking about probably about 100 in just my daily bread. Put it over there. So I've got 100 in there, 100 in there, that's half the battle. Then you've got banana, then you've got walnuts, lovely, lots of magnesium, spinach, lots of magnesium. You know, really just look at magnesium rich foods and what you like to eat. Nuts, very high magnesium. So your cereals as well, if you get a nutty cereal, you're really going to hit that 400 milligrams without too much trouble, and you're not going to have those stomach problems that you have if you take 400 milligrams of magnesium in a tablet, because it's probably going to be like, that's quite hard in your system. Your body likes magnesium in a food, like wrapped up in a nice food parcel, so it goes into your body nice and easily. Okay, so where do we get to? Oh, so we're going to also talk about take a little break from what we eat and what we drink and talk about this. Okay, eyesight. And it's one of those common things that, because our migraines come up here usually, or here, we often relate it with eye strain. And for me, reading and reading fast does definitely affect that, okay? Also, screen time as well does affect migraines. So it's very useful to be aware of screen time. I find, you know, watching something on the laptop or on the TV can also be very helpful if I'm feeling ugh, and it can be helpful. So sometimes it's like you really have to sort of, do I want this? Do I not want this? And really, you know, play with it. When it comes to eye strain, this is something, when they first started getting bad, I got very stressed and I stopped wearing my contact lenses because I thought that there was some problems with my prescriptions and things like that. And I had a few problems at the opticians before lockdown where I got quite confused about, you know, what they were saying about my eyesight, because I'm now, instead of being just short-sighted, I've got like that thing as you get older where you get your short sight goes as well. So then you sort of, I've got 3 prescriptions basically. And I couldn't get to see an optician during lockdown. I couldn't even get through on the phone, you know, to talk about things. So I was getting more and more stressed that the problem was my eyesight, the problem was my prescriptions, the problem was my contact lenses, things like that. And so I was really just wearing, you know, these all the time. And I was very, very lucky last year. I got to see an excellent optician, and they did everything. They even did the sort of non-standard tests and things like that. And so they could tell that my eyes were absolutely perfect. You know, I need glasses, I need contact lenses, but as you said, you're taking really good care of your eyes. Like all of us, you can probably do a little bit less screen time, you know, eat a bit healthier, look after yourself a bit more, but your eyes are perfect. There's no problem with them. And I said, yes, but sometimes I do this and sometimes I do that, and then I get like this and then I get like that. And she was a very sensible, very wise optician. She looked at me and she went, do you not think that maybe you're causing your migraines by worrying about it so much? And by kind of, when you're looking at things, you're really stressing about, you know, how clear something is. You know, have I got the screen at the right size? Have I got this document? Can I make it bigger? I think she said you're worrying too much and you're actually giving yourself a headache by, you know, worrying too much. She said, you're not going to hurt your eyes wearing contact lenses. You've got 2 different prescriptions of contact lenses. They're both fine. You're legal to drive with any of your prescriptions. You're absolutely fine. But I think the thing is we often hear so much about screens and turning off at night and this kind of thing and that kind of thing, that we kind of put it on ourselves that we're causing the problem. And really, more than often, we're causing the problem because we think we're causing the problem. And so relaxing and not taking it so seriously is probably the thing. If you haven't had your eyes checked for a while, go do it. Go do it. Your prescription can change, it can. But like they say, you know, really every couple of years you go and get things checked, and normally it won't have changed very much. It won't have made you like, you know, unsafe to drive, or that you're actually doing yourself any real harm. So it's actually stressing about it that caused my problem. It's like a lot of things, you know, like when I get the bad smell, you know, the smell, it's like I'm stressing about the fact there's gas or something. So that makes me more stressed, that makes the migraine worse. So it's a lot of it is like talking myself down, and also making sure I've got something nice on the wrist to smell. Because life sometimes stinks, right? It does stink. You like that? Okay. Speaking of that, this is another thing, is water. Hydration is one of the most important things we can do to not get migraines and to recover from them and everything. Now, I used to be a real tap water fan. I used to drink tap water, and I would never drink bottled water. But one of the things that happened was when I started to deal with the menopausal stuff, I did a lot more research into nutrition, and I discovered that people recommended bottled water. And I have found an improvement. Found an improvement, you know, to my migraine, menopause, general health by drinking this. This also, I find the sparkling water is really great for nausea. Put this to one side. Now, I actually ran out of bottled water when it was super, super hot, because of course everybody was buying it. And I was drinking tap water, and I again got myself really stressed out, because I could smell everything in the water, and I could smell the chlorine really, really strongly. So at the sort of time when it was very, very hot and I needed to be drinking, you know, so much water, I was like, I don't like this. And so obviously there were two things going on. And one is that the natural spring water has different minerals in it, has magnesium in it, has other things in it that are very useful to us, our micronutrients. On the other side, with my sense of smell, I found it very hard to drink heavily treated tap water. So it's not, I don't know if that's a good thing for you, you know, if you're happy to drink tap water. You know, I drink loads of tea, that's tap water. But I have found, and it may just be a mental health thing, it may just be a placebo thing, I found that I feel much more comfortable drinking lots and lots of mineral water than I do drinking tap water. And that helps. Okay, so a lot of this stuff is also about just staying hydrated and also keeping your blood sugar up, making sure you don't have massive dips in blood sugar, because those are two really big triggers of migraine, and also big triggers for menopausal symptoms, which then can make migraines worse. So for example, if you have a hot flush, it can dehydrate you, which then causes a migraine. So it's kind of like probably what you call like a syndrome, really, all this stuff together. It just so if you improve anything in that whole big dynamic, you improve things. So that's what's really important. So I would always recommend you get a flask or a water bottle so you can carry water with you at all times. As soon as you start to feel thirsty, drink some water. Now, I had a doctor and she was doing a thing, and she was talking about hydration salts. And she said, oh yeah, salts don't really make a difference. I'm sorry, you're wrong. Because I'm a fitness instructor. And I will tell you, as soon as you start going out and doing things, you start to lose also the salts in your body because you're sweating. And you have to make sure hydration is not just about water, it's also about keeping your salts up. These are Rehydration Salts, Diarrhea or similar. Obviously, you use these when you have got diarrhea, but you can also use them at other times. I wouldn't recommend to use them at other times because, you know, they're medicine and you get a lot of other stuff in there. But there are natural versions of these. Okay. So natural versions of these are, of course, like bananas, got potassium in there. Sports drinks, energy drinks. Now, these can be really good, but what you've got to be careful of is the caffeine in them. So make sure you read the label to see if there's caffeine in them. We're going to talk about caffeine too in a sec. I know, can you believe I know so much about migraines? I'm like, not a doctor. Okay, so make sure you get your electrolytes up when you are drinking water. One of the best ways of getting water into your body is with water-rich food. So that's all your fruit, all your vegetables. I mean, you could probably call it soup as well, you know, but make sure you get your salts up. Great way of getting your salts up. If you love it or you hate it, it's brilliant, Marmite. So I always found getting up in the morning and having a slice of toast with a lot of Marmite on it, sometimes I would feel so ill, wake up, have that, and I felt immediately better. It's also full of B vitamins. But the thing about this also, you can make a drink with it. So you can just take a teaspoon of it and put hot water, and you make something like a consommé, you know, like a broth, and you can drink that if you're feeling very unwell. It's really good thing to have if you are low in salts, okay? Most people, most human beings, when they wake up in the morning, are a little bit dehydrated, okay? So those first cups of tea, and I say tea, I'm going to talk about tea in a minute, but those first drinks in the morning are often the best to help you to stop feeling poorly. I also find I often feel a bit under the weather in the morning until I have 1 or 2 cups of green tea, and those really help me. And it could be menopausal, because green tea is excellent for that. Excuse me. That then means I don't feel so migrainey. Who knows? But Marmite is excellent. When I first started teaching fitness and I was running around all the time, I found a thing called these Jelly Belly sports beans. And they're like Jelly Belly beans, but they've got like loads of electrolytes in them. And I used to carry those with me everywhere because I was running around teaching these places and I couldn't carry loads of sports drinks. So Jelly Belly sports beans. And if you think that dehydration and lack of salt is a problem for you, especially if you're, say, sort of starting to exercise more, you can always check out places like, I think, Runners Needs and fitness shops, things like that, and look at some of these things, because you often will have these things that have more electrolytes in them that you can use to help you, you know, balance. Okay, but first of all, you know, a bit drainy. So, also, blood sugar snacks. These are very good as well. These are the Grays vegan. They've got a bit of protein in them. They're made with things like chili corn and corn chips and peas, broad beans even, stuff like that. So, you know, they're kind of not the unhealthiest thing, but they've got quite a lot of salt. So I find those really, really handy to carry with me. Also, I often like honey roast peanuts, honey roast cashews, things like that, and carry them around with you, and just have a little bit of something to keep your blood sugar up. Okay, also, this is gonna sound really weird and really silly, okay? So all through lockdown, I've been having the same biscuits in the morning. So I have like a ginger nut, and I was having a rich tea biscuit, which is a very plain biscuit. And then I switched it up to a ginger nut and a chocolate chip cookie. And immediately I started feeling better, quicker in the morning. So I'd wake up feeling a bit, ugh, get my cup of tea, and then I would have a ginger nut and a chocolate chip cookie as opposed to a plain biscuit, plain cookie. And I didn't really kind of understand why until I saw this lecture with this professor. And she was saying, you know, when you feel a bit migrainey, a little bit of sugar, just a little bit of sugar. She said, don't worry about the diet. It's the same thing with the salts. You know, we're always trying to get rid of that salt and sugar in processed foods, and, you know, but we need a little bit of sugar sometimes, a little bit of salt to make us feel better. So I started doing that, and I was like, yeah, this is better. This little bit of chocolate in the morning is just making me feel better. Also, with dark chocolate, that has magnesium in it. So it should help us to sleep, and it should help us with the migraine symptoms. Who knew? So, oh dear. Look, we're getting to the end of it now. So the other thing that's a really big deal with migraines is sleep. Okay, so trying to get good quality sleep. And that's also where things like the aromatherapy, where the headphones, where the eye patch, everything like that is really good, because it helps us to sleep. With the menopause and menopause, disturbed sleep is like the #1 symptom of menopause. You know, of all the people who have it, disturbed sleep is the biggest one. So there's no wonder why people get to the stage of life, especially women, and we suffer, because the broken sleep, the difficult sleep, then creates problems. I tell you what, last night I slept so well, and I woke up, felt weird. I was like, the reason is because I'm used to waking up so many times in the night, and I drink water, I sip water through the night. And I slept all the way through last night, and I woke up like, oh, I feel a bit, because I've got a full glass of water by the bed. I'm like, oh, okay, because usually that's empty by the morning. So sometimes it's like we get better, and then we feel like, why am I feeling worse? It's like, actually, it's because I'm feeling better. Like I hurt my back the other day because I did too much exercise. I hurt myself because I read too much, or I spend too much time on the screen because I'm actually able to do more. So that's, we could kind of call that like a rehab injury. When you're doing well, you actually cause more problems. Okay, let's go. I'm going to come to, let me clear up a few things. So ginger ale, fantastic for nausea. Also because it contains the ginger, which is an anti-inflammatory. Now, one of the things I've learned, and I don't think near enough research has been done on it, is that ginger affects these molecules in our body, which have got a lot to do with migraine. They're called CGRP, calcitonin gene-related peptides. And at the very forefront of the medical pharmaceutical intervention for migraines are these things called CGRP. But ginger is apparently a natural CGRP disruptor, I think, something like that. So you kind of go, okay, let me eat and drink and slap on my body loads of ginger whenever I feel a migraine coming on. And since I've done that, I've actually had probably the best month I've had in about 2 years. Hooray. The funny thing is though, I bought all this ginger ale just before I tried that. And I've only drunk like 2 cans of it. Before I was drinking bottles of the stuff because I was so nauseous, and it was really helpful. But because of all the other things like the B2 and everything else I'm doing, the nausea's gone down so low, I really haven't had to worry about that. But it's a great size can for me to put in my bag. And I found sometimes, if you get motion sickness, I never used to, but with these getting worse, I have. It's a great one to have in the bag for like being on a train or something, to head off any bit of nausea. So thank you very much for that. Bit of hot chocolate. This is not the best one. I think the best ones are, I had one before and it was like a cacao powder, and that's also got shed loads of magnesium in it. And so we're going to get into the hard one now. Okay, it's about an hour in. I'm going to tell you the truth, and this is the thing that nobody says. All right, went to this summit, everybody's talking about it. Right, number one thing when you go to the Migraine Trust, or great website, NHS website from the Walton Centre, which explains the whole disorder of migraine. And the number one problem in terms of lifestyle and migraine is regulating caffeine in coffee and tea. Okay, regulating caffeine. So I know this because I know that caffeine has an impact on me. So I've been having 1 cup of coffee a day, probably for like the last 5 years. Okay, only 1 cup of coffee, but I must have that 1 cup of coffee, because if I don't, then I get a migraine or other symptoms. And I would have, I think I was down to about 2 to 3 cups of tea. I say a cup of tea, they're quite big cups. And when I read this, and I went back and I read it, and I thought, you know what, I've got to bite the bullet, and I'm going to give up coffee and tea. And I've given up caffeine in the past, I've given up coffee in the past, I've still had migraines. It's not made the biggest difference. But this time I decided I was going to give up coffee and tea. I've never given up black tea before. And so I did that. And what was great is having the journal. So have the journal and you can write down. And what was so great about it was I stopped drinking the caffeine, the coffee. So I took myself off coffee, and then I had a migraine. But I didn't take any more. I thought, that's it. I feel awful anyway. I'm just gonna. And I had about 10 days of low-grade migraines, which were withdrawal headaches from stopping the coffee. And then I had another big migraine, and I went, okay, that's it, no more tea. And I cut out the black tea as well, because I think I was drinking about 1 cup of black tea a day, which is not a lot. And I cut out the black tea. And it worked. And I was looking for like a 10% improvement in my migraines, because they were so bad. I was like, you know what? I've got to try it. I've got to try to cut this out, because if I don't, I won't know if it would help. Okay. And it is a big commitment. When you do something and you've got those withdrawal headaches, it's pretty awful. And it's, you do really want a cup of tea. But my application to it, my mind, I've worked with quite a lot of people. I know quite a lot of people who've worked in like rehab and alcohol addiction recovery, that kind of thing. So I know that we have detox time and we have withdrawal time. And so we can't count that in the journal. You can see it. And I did the chart and went like that. Not fun. But at the end of that time, once I stopped the tea as well, and I think if I went back and did it again, I'd stop the coffee and I stopped the tea like the next day or the day after, because I waited about 7 to 10 days and I was doing that. So I think maybe it's better to just do it and have that. And as soon as I stopped the tea as well, that's when it kind of stopped and the migraine activity